this another keynote speech, state keynote speech by our Mr. Tandon, who has been traveling across India to spread cyber awareness and crime against children through various campaigns. Absolutely, he needs no introduction as far as cyber is concerned. His words will introduce what caliber he has, and without wasting much time, I will call upon Mr. Rakshit Tandon to deliver his views on data and social media. Welcome, Rakshit sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Limesh sir. Namaskar. Namaste to all the dear respected participants and panelists listening. Thank you, Vijay Shankar sir. Congratulations to FDPI for this amazing event and chosen the right topic. And I just came in 5 minutes before, so I was just listening to the esteemed panel. And yes, indeed, the day Supreme Court said that privacy is a fundamental right, and this started bothering all of us. And from then, we have been seeing this journey, and especially the last 2 years of COVID, where everything went online. And there was such a huge digital transformation that even a sabji wala and doodh wala was digitally connected and selling his services. And in this all hidden game, the data was the main, we call it the new oil or the new gold. And in my experience, we have seen a cyberdemic in the last 2 years. We're working with the cyber cells, we have seen crimes. And in all of the crimes, we have seen data being used as a catalyst to execute cybercrime. So if we see a successful cybercrime, the whole credit goes to the data which the criminals have to commit that crime. So data breach became the biggest, I could call the threat in this last 2 years, and we all have witnessed companies like Domino's, Big Basket, Air India in India losing their data, and that data was available openly on. This was the ones which were reported. Now there are cases where there is breaches are not reported, but my concern when it comes to privacy is not only in the digital platform but in the offline platform. When we saw a case, a crime which was committed in Palwal, where the hackers were able to bribe the Tehsil department, get hold of registries, land registries. From the land registry, they created a clone biometric, and from the land registries, they easily got the Aadhaar number, and then they exploited the AEPS platform and they withdrawn 1 crore rupees in 10 days from 45 victims. Aadhaar enabled payment system. So they had the three attributes. One was the cloned biometric from the photocopy of the registry. The second was the Aadhaar number, which you always have to give whenever you go for a land registry. You have to put a photocopy of your Aadhaar number. And the third thing was amount. And the fourth platform was AEPS, Aadhaar Enabled Payment System. So where offline data can bring in this thing, so imagine what happens offline. You must have all heard OSINT, open source intelligence tools, and we all have been playing with it through our investigations, and we have seen personally that how these social media platforms, they have putting their trackers and their adverts which have been taking, and there now they have also added the flavor of artificial intelligence and data mining, where even a small microphone in my phone is listening to my keywords, and then he is actually putting me across through the similar products. So suppose I'm talking here about, I was just speaking to my friend that yeah, I'm in a very big financial problem, so I think I need a personal loan. I just have mentioned this to my friend, and then suddenly I start getting SMS or calls from some loan bazaar or .com or something.com. So this is what we are living into. And you must have all heard about some Chinese apps which have created a mess during this COVID of giving Insta loans to people who were finding tough times getting their salaries. And those Insta loan apps were nothing but pure spywares. They were installed in your phone, they were extracting your contacts, your photographs, and they were giving you high paid loans, high interest loans. And those, there were many apps, and this was busted by Hyderabad police, and you must have heard in this case. So my concern here is that these discussions more come with the word responsibility. We have to bring in the cyber security as a culture to derive this. We have to understand the importance of why data privacy is important, whether it goes to the gaming applications which my children are consuming, whether it goes to the social media applications, or whether it goes to the commercial applications. We should not forget the commercial applications. 2.2 CR data of Big Basket was breached and was easily available in the open space of dark web. Today, a criminal calls me and he knows all the data attributes related to my financial transaction, which makes me convinced that yes, he's calling genuinely from a company. You must have heard, I got a case where a retired government officer who has given 25 years of his service to government of India, he got a call from a pension department, and that person had all his personal attributes. He had all the posting data, he had his salary data, and he has all his financial accounting data. And what he claimed, that if you don't go through the KYC process, e-KYC process, your pension will stop. This old retired gentleman who's living dependent on the pension, he got scared and he said, no, you can't block my pension, and I am ready to go for your KYC process. And then he was a con artist. He guided him through some steps, and he basically hijacked his phone, his OTPs, and whatever savings was there in his account were stolen. You won't believe, we had almost 30 to 40 odd complaints, and the common factor was that the person calling them, the scammer, had all their personal information. That is the information which was attributed to their postings and pensions. So my concern here is who has to be questioned, who has to be made responsible. We all have been desperately waiting for the data protection bill of the country, and it's high time, where this bill as well as the IT Act needs some reform, because we people work on the ground, and when we see these victims coming to us, like in a case recently, listen to this case, a very scary case. A lady received a new envelope of a credit card. She opened the envelope and there were instructions to call a toll free number and activate the card. The lady did the same. The call could not connect and it got disconnected. Within 3 seconds, she got an incoming call. Now, stop here and understand. Either the phone is infected with a malware. These are the possibilities. The malware knows I am calling a bank, so the next incoming call is received from a fraud bank. Or there is some data breach at the call center. The human being sitting there, the peopleware, is compromised. He is a mule. He is a mole. He is a mole who is working with the hackers, you can call the corpus. So what happens, this lady is not able to mature the call, so she gets an incoming call within 2 to 3 minutes. Ma'am, you were trying to reach us, we are calling from the bank. Boli, yes, I was trying to reach us because I wanted to activate my card. Boli, ma'am, we will do that for you. You just have to do this process 1 2 3. And the moment the lady did 1 2 3, you understand what happened. Immediate to 1.2 lakh transaction took place on a credit card. Till the time she could realize, she immediately called the bank and asked them to put on hold. Immediately, that was done immediately. But the bank did not follow the instructions, and now she's fighting with the bank, and the bank is trying to say to the lady that you have to pay the damages, otherwise your credit card score and CIBIL record, everything will be spoiled. And so this is where we are as on date. Today I download an application and I have to give some permissions to the applications. What about my children? My children are innocently playing games, and you must have heard recently in online gaming they consume a very popular application called Discord. And Discord has become the biggest source for dissemination of malwares, whether they are crypto miners, ransomwares. So it's a huge issue and a huge concern, whether it is social media applications, whether these commercial applications which are we are downloading for services. There is an internal trade process of data going on. There are ad algorithms which are having trackers. You open a Safari browser today and you see the privacy report on the front page. Every website you open has some trackers. So there is good data and bad data. We have to be very careful about this, and especially now in this COVID time, there is one more area which has become very, very important, and that is health. healthcare, and healthcare is considered as a critical infrastructure. So all these applications look very good. You have online medical consultations, you have your reports online, they're all PDFs, they have been scanned, they have been shared. But what about their privacy of the health records? And we still are not talking about this. Every day there are applications, and every day there are models which are coming out. You are openly putting your COVID certificate, and you have to show them. You scan the QR code, and it gives a lot of juicy information related to yourself. So one has to be very careful of what and how to do, especially on social media. I still remember a lot of people, when they got vaccinated, they were very proud in sharing their COVID certificates on their social media sites with their valid QR code. So there are both, I would say, instruments. One, people need to be aware now about, and they have to have this huge concern about privacy. They should question, why am I giving you this information, and why do you need it? And we don't question whether it is an organization, whether it is a mobile application, whether it is a survey form, whether, and for what use are they using that data. And yes, data protection has to be given more priority, that rather than we keep on waiting for breaches and people are updating us for the breaches. And there is one more thing which should be made compulsory, and especially there are countries under GDPR where it is very compulsory to report, but here we don't report. So you hardly see the people who are reporting are out in the public. Otherwise, reporting has to be there, so that even the customers need to be made aware that what you have to change and what. I remember when Air India data got breached, I received a mail from Air India for the do's and don'ts to be done. And I was the first user to even block my credit card and get a new credit card issue, because I was not waiting for any confirmation whether my credit card information was breached, because I was a frequent flyer. So, friends, it is an unbeatable subject as on date, and we are very happy and glad that under this embed of FDPPI, we have started this conversation, and this conversation should have been on a high importance, because we all are now living in this digital age. And now we have also invited artificial intelligence, we have invited technologies like deepfake and IoTs. Very soon we'll be having our what you call, we'll be talking about the fast tag data which is being captured at the tolls, which is being made compulsory on every car. We will have smart cities, smart cameras. So I think all this is now going to create both the sectors. For the advocacy sector, that is the judiciary sector, and for the development sector, where at the inception age, I should think before designing my app, that how will I keep my data safe, how will I keep, and especially there should be policies for countries. In every country in Europe, when I was in Europe as a non-European expert, I remember their mobile company had a specific SIM card for children. They had a specific set of applications for the children. They had versions. Today you have a Macintosh version, you have a Windows version. Similarly, if I want to download Instagram, I have a child version, I have an adult version. And this is how companies show their responsibilities towards children. I would invite all of you today to go to any popular social media, right from Facebook or to Instagram, and just place some keywords on the search. Keywords on the search, and you will see what kind of content is there. And this is the digital content and digital diet which is really affecting the minds of our young children. So, as adults, it's our responsibility to give our children an internet which is safer and cleaner. And there are no technical jargons about privacy that you have to read 170 lines to say I agree. And that is why we say I agree. You should be clear and short that okay, you are installing this application, your location will go, your data will go, your contacts will go, storage will go, and your photos will go. It should be very clear to the subject. But today it is all hidden in 200 lines, and there is only one button, I accept. So I think this is where we need to bring in a change, and I hope discussions like this will take this forward. So once again, I thank FDPI for inviting me to give a keynote address on the subject. I know it's a very short time to talk on this, but thank you so much once again. If you have any questions for me, I'd love to answer them. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Excellent session and quick, and I would say very inspiring session, sir. Thank you very much, really. I just got few questions from our people. I will just put the first question to you. What are your views? Great that this question is from Mr. Navi sir himself. What are your views on the identity of social media users by the social media players like Twitter?
Like Twitter.
Twitter, yeah, Twitter.
So what are the
identify? No, Rakshit, I'm just trying to ask about the media guidelines.
Yeah.
Okay, which I said that the identity of the social media users should be provided on the social media, and they have to make necessary technical measures to collect the identity so that fake accounts can be.
So my with the last 10 years of experience with law enforcement, and especially in very crucial states like Uttar Pradesh, where you have seen the maximum number of internet shutdowns just for the reason of LNO situation, a law and order situation arising because of these fake handles. So yes, I think social media countries, the social media platforms should have at least a decent verification process for these identities, because the kind of trolling and the kind of dogpiling, I call it dogpiling, you see, and then you see a lot of bots being created to viralize content just to make it trending. So whether it is originating from Pakistan or from any country, which a neighboring country which is not in friendly relations, so the cause of threat becomes very high, and that is why the guideline says that yes, at least there should be some measures to identify these fake handles. So it is very easy for me to create an handle right now on Twitter by the name Dr. Mahendra Lime, where I will just have to play with some key spellings and all. I'll put some virtual number and I got entry to Twitter, and then I start following, unfollowing people and start spreading misinformation. So yes, there should be some, at least some basic digital identity capturing should be there, so that in case of any nuisance, when a law enforcement agency approaches these social media companies, they should at least give us a relevant. I'm not saying we should breach the privacy of an individual or something like that, but yes, considering the kind of issues we are facing, that is the major concern. The issues are the concern. So I think it would really help us, and it should be followed by the social media companies. At least nothing, then at least you can capture the device from which he is signing up. I think that will also help.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions from others, please? Okay, Rakshit, I think there are no other questions.
I could see some one question at the panel by
Please, go ahead.
So when the social media came in, the development happened in a reckless manner, yes, with no consideration for privacy. Neither there were policies, I agree. But now there are suddenly privacy laws which have come in. So how social media companies would adhere to this difficult challenge? So Narsinghaji, I think as you have seen, whenever it comes to their good things on social media, you will always find an update coming in. When WhatsApp wanted us forcefully to join Facebook, they came up with a notice and they had to say, I accept, otherwise your WhatsApp will stop working. So it is not that a big thing. If you have to tweak your platform and your coding, it is nothing but an update, and they can shoot in an update, they can push in an update, they can be given a timeline that you should update. But yes, I agree, there were no privacy policies, because even the government, when Orkut even came in India and became so popular, we were not knowing what kind of issues we'll be facing. So this is what I say. And Mr. Subra, what do you think is the solution for nationwide sponsored breaches? See, solution is adequate cybersecurity policies for every company. We should not be reactive. We should be proactive. Today, I am planning to launch a EdTech. I'm Rakshit Tandon. I want to launch my edtech called Hackershala. I want to launch it. So before my launch, I'll be more proactive in studying the data privacy, data security, so that I don't become a next an academy and some breaches or Baidu's and some data of the students are stolen. So you cannot blame it to one organization, but yes, every organization should have their own process. And after looking at what is happening, like the examples are there, Big Basket is there, Domino's is there, Zomato is there. So now you should rise up. You should. Why are you waiting for something to happen and then we react? When there will be fire in my place, then only I will buy a firefighting equipment. No. Today I am an IT company. I'm an edtech company or a fintech company. Learn with examples, and especially fintech and edtech. These financial companies and education companies, you have to, and healthcare companies, you have to learn how to protect data. There are data encryption policies, there are data algorithms which can uh, protect your data. There are so many different technologies to protect there are DLPs, data leakage preventions, and so many things. And one should learn with examples. And this is high time where we are entering in the kind of digital transformation we are seeing. The companies should give priority to data breaches. Thank you.
Very good, sir. One more question, I will take it with you from Mr. Pramod. From Mr. Pramod, how to handle the situation where most of the government, non-government, temples are requesting to provide Aadhaar card numbers? Why not it is restricting to collect such personal data? Even for information security, identity card details are captured. What's your views on it is the question.
So, Pramodji, UIDAI has come up with an option to give you a masked Aadhaar number and a virtual ID generator. There should be awareness in people. And if, as per my, I will just, please correct me if I'm wrong, because Navi sir would be the right person. He has always been highly vocal on this subject. I remember that there was a notification that Aadhaar is not mandatory to that people can ask for your Aadhaar number. But still, UIDAI comes with a masked Aadhaar number and a virtual ID generator. People should have awareness to use that if somebody is asking your Aadhaar card or Aadhaar number at any place. You have a driving license, that is also equally valid. You have a voter ID, that is also equally valid. And if you have a PAN card, that is also equally valid. And one more thing I would add here, that Aadhaar website has also given you an option to lock and unlock your biometric. So if you are not doing any operations or verifications in the near future, just block your turn on and turn off your biometric.
So I think we have to conclude this session since Rakshit has some another assignments what he has intimated. So thank you very much, Mr. Rakshit Tandon, for offering our invitation on behalf of FDPPI. We look more sessions to our direct members to FDPPI after this particular session. And I thank all the audience for attending this particular session. Thank you very much, Rakshit from FDPPI. And over to you, Ramesh, for our next session. Thank you.